Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. Over the last 1 year or so, quite a few people have reached out to us through this channel, through our network, ex-colleagues, family, friends, etc., to asked us to review their FIRE plan, their financial independence and retiring early plan. So we've gone through with them their plans, their Excel sheets, their ambitions, their desires, etc. So in this video, I will cover some of the common mistakes that we are seeing while doing this dialogue with different people. And interestingly, quite a few of those were not just that we are seeing the others make it, but we ourselves were guilty of stumbling and learning and making the same mistakes. So hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have a fairly good idea what are the common pitfalls or mistakes that you can also end up making in this financial independence plan, as well as tracking in your net worth, and how do you avoid them or how do you mitigate them. Before I do that, a quick introduction like always. My name is Yogi, and my wife Seema and I, we both achieved financial independence and decided to take this big bold step of retiring early. As we keep saying in many of our videos, financial independence is a must. Retiring early is an option. That's a choice that you can make. While being on this journey to financial independence and deciding to retire early or not, I'm sure that you're having some level of tracking in an Excel sheet or a plan or a dialogue between you and your spouse, etc., where you're going through this process. So let's address some of the mistakes that you can end up potentially making in this process that can cost you dearly in the future years, either financially or even impact your retiring early decision. So the first one is miscalculating your future expenses. You're right now, probably at whatever age, you're probably years away from your retiring early target, whenever you plan to retire early. So you, in your Excel sheets or in your planning somewhere, you put a value to what your future expenses would be. Now, you can't get that right to the last rupee or a dollar or a euro, but you need to make sure that there are certain things that you have to get right. And while going through many of the Excel sheets of people who've shared with us, we realize that people are ignoring certain things or omitting certain things that can have a big potential impact in future. And those are, first of all, is inflation. The purchasing power that you have right now will be very different from purchasing power that you have in future. So for example, if your expenses right now is rupees 1 lakh a month or 100,000, whatever currency, in 10 years time, you will need 160,000 or 1,60,000 for that same purchasing power of 1 lakh. And in 20 years time, you will need 2,30,000 or 230,000 to achieve or at least buy that same stuff what you can do right now for 1 lakh. So this is the impact of inflation, and I've used 5% on this calculation as an average. If it is more, you will need more. Hopefully it is less in future. Now, when we see people's ambitions or desired expenses, what they've done with inflation is that they've applied inflation from the date of retirement, saying, okay, our expenses from there on, because of this withdrawal rate, the 4% rule or 3% or 2%, whatever their withdrawal rate will be, they've applied inflation to that. But inflation has to be applied not just in future once you retire, but from today onwards till the date you retire. So that's first, to make sure that you put the inflation number into your calculation from today onwards till your target retirement date. So it could be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and that will give you an idea that how much expenses that you have today, how that same expenses in future, how much money you will need on a monthly or an annual basis. The second is that we evolve as people. So our social situations change. Children get married, our parents are aging. By the time you retire, they'll need a lot more care. There'll be financial impact in that care. You will probably be upgrading your life over the years. So the social situation and the lifestyle situation change. So you will also, again, that's why I said that it's very difficult to pinpoint a rupee or a dollar exact expenses, but you will need to see that how much or how your social situation over the years will evolve, and how do you budget that into your future expenses. Because it's not just about regular inflation. Like we keep saying in all our videos, that regular inflation unfortunately has a lower impact than lifestyle inflation, and lifestyle inflation is much more difficult to track on a dollar or a rupee number. The third point, which is also important, is to incorporate your taxes into that expenses that you calculate in future. Because you may be under the assumption that yes, when I leave my job after that, I'm not going to be paying income taxes. Unfortunately, you may be in for a surprise, because you will have certain income taxes if you have some passive income in form of rentals or dividends, etc. And even if you don't have that and you plan to withdraw from your corpus once you retire, you will have probably the long-term or short-term capital gains that you have to still incorporate. So you have to budget your taxes also in the expenses in future, because that should not come as a nasty surprise later. So what do you do? So first of all is apply inflation. Put an inflation rate, what is there right now, and apply that. Hopefully, a 5% average is a decent enough number, but to be on a conservative side, you can even put 6.5%, 7%, I would say, is for 10, 15, 20 years. I hope that the world doesn't move to that situation that becomes the inflation number. So that's one. Apply a regular inflation number to your future expenses. The second is to manage your lifestyle inflation. Start tracking your expenses year on year, and start seeing that how much of your lifestyle expenses over the last few years are getting into that. So you will get an idea. So for example, if the regular inflation is 5% or the 6%, whatever the CPI, Consumer Price Index number tells you, and you realize that your expenses are going up 15% year on year. So that means that it's not just regular inflation, there is a lifestyle inflation component. And on the other hand, it could be that the inflation is 5-6%, but your total expenses are also going up just by 5-6%. That means that your lifestyle is not having a big impact on that. So that's one. Tracking on the last few years so that you get an idea that what could be the potential in future. And as they say, past performance is never a guarantee to future success. So for that, you need to start seeing that what in future would be your desired lifestyle. So if you say, hey, in future, I want to have business class travel, I want to stay in 5-star hotels. So you will need to apply that towards your lifestyle expenses. The other is, when it comes to taxes, you need to start putting your strategy that what is your plan? Where do you plan to live? Like I've mentioned in quite a few of the videos on our channel, is that where you reside, where you plan to retire, and where your income comes from, all these have an impact onto your taxes, and you can optimize this in future. So those are the things that you need to start planning and putting in towards your future expenses. So that was the first one, miscalculating future expenses. The second one is what I would say, overestimating health and healthcare costs in future. Now, most of you, or most of us, when I was, Seema and I, we were also in our career, we were under the corporate health insurance. Now, what happens during corporate health insurance is that our family, the spouse, children, they are all covered under the corporate health insurance. So we take it for granted. But the news flash for you is that the day you retire, there is no more corporate health insurance. You have to get your own insurance. And guess what? If you decide to retire in your mid-40s or your even early 50s, imagine that the premium of that health insurance would be pretty massive. So you have to take that into account right now itself, especially for folks who are NRIs, non-resident Indians, who are planning to move to India at certain stage. Keep in mind that when you move over there and you only take up your health insurance when you move, anything that you had before in medically will be treated as a precondition. So the best ways to avoid is, first, have your own private insurance, or at least start building that history with a company when it comes to health insurance. So if you're working in India, you're planning to retire in India, so you're building that history already. But if that's the case, that you're working and you plan to retire in India itself, then what you should do is that you need to budget in your expenses the cost of health insurance premiums in future. And for folks who are planning to change the location of the country where they are working versus where they are retiring, so NRIs who are planning to come over to India, or Indians who are planning to retire anywhere outside, start finding ways in which you can start paying or getting health insurance. So then you start paying premium on a basic health insurance, with the purpose that if in future anything happens to you during your years before you retire, that all will not be considered precondition, because you're already you've taken that health insurance from there on. So that planning is very important. So that's on the insurance side. But at the same time, you need to start taking care of your health, because health will not only help you during your, what I've called in the other videos, the go-go years, that when you retire and you retire early, you want to make sure that you maximize your time. But taking care of health will also minimize any expenses that you may have in future that could be because of not being able to take care of health. So overestimating health and healthcare can have an impact on your overall plan to or path to financial independence. The third one is something that I've spoken about in many of our videos, is including the value of the house into your net worth. Yes, it is part of your net worth, but it is not part of your financial independence strategy. So yes, this is your asset and you can do whatever you want to do. But if you use it as part of the calculation towards financial independence, keep in mind that you can't withdraw your houses brick by brick during your retirement years or early retirement years. So the best is to keep it off that books and just focus on all your assets outside the place that you're living, because even during retirement, you'll need a place to live. And this will also force you to make sure that you're looking at your house, not just emotionally, but also rationally. And as we keep saying in multiple of our videos, the value of your house that you're living in should never be more than 30% of your total net worth. Because if it is in 40, 50, 60% of your net worth, it'll just prolong your path to financial independence. The next one is what we get badgered a lot on the channel and even sometimes within our network, is this big question: what's your corpus? Now, this could be misleading, because what it'll do is it'll probably make you biased towards your calculation. Not our corpus number, but anyone's corpus number. And I see this question, what's your corpus, is something that I guess you've also faced it within your relatives. Some auntie or uncle have probably asked you or badgered you that kitna kama lete ho? The what's your salary question is nowadays the what's your corpus question. So beware of that, because it'll make you biased. Either it'll discourage you in that planning, because if someone's corpus is a big number, you'll say, hey, I will never be able to retire, or it'll give you the false sense of security. If you say, hey, this is the number that I can very easily achieve. Your corpus number will have to be determined by your circumstances. Your circumstances in terms of what's your lifestyle, where are you planning to retire, the location, what's your end goal? Do you want to leave nothing behind, die with zero? Do you want to leave a big legacy behind? Is there a pension that you're expecting in future? Is there a family support structure that you have that can help you during your retirement years? So there are lots and lots of personal circumstances that will determine your corpus. Also beware and be wary of this big, I would even call the clickbait on many of the channels or in YouTube or vlogs or blogs, where there is a big headline of a corpus number. Now, it is their corpus number. And by the way, there is no way that you and I can validate and verify if their corpus number, what they've said, is actually their corpus number. It could be more, less, we don't know. So be very careful of that, because this is a mistake that can derail your plan because it will make you biased. Focus on your future expenses, focus on a withdrawal percentage based on that future expenses, focus on a plan to build that rather than other people's corpus. And the last is, like I've been addressing in this video also, is not having someone to review the plan. Make sure that you have someone trusted within your network, outside your network, through anonymous on internet, etc., that can professionally and give you an outside-in view of your plan. Now, why that is important? Because one, we make mistakes, and those mistakes could be some logical mistakes, like I've been pointing in this video about miscalculating expenses, not having taxes or not considering taxes and expenses, overestimating the healthcare, not building that healthcare history, etc. But it could be some fundamental thing of an error in an Excel sheet. Now, this is something which we also found in a few Excel sheets, and we also had in our own Excel sheets over the years. And fortunately for us, we had one or two people who did review our plan, and they did point that out, and it helped us a lot. So make sure that you find someone, one or two people who you can trust to share those details of your plan, your logic, as well as your formulas, so that someone can give a critical outside-in review of that. Now, in summary, one is to make sure that you're calculating your future expenses with a lot more detail about inflation, lifestyle inflation, your regular inflation, as well as considering taxes. The second is planning your health insurance or health care for future, beat the health insurance premiums or any treatments that you may need in future, including taking care of health. Third is to make sure that you keep your house where you're living in outside your overall financial independence portfolio, even if it is part of your overall net worth, and keep your house within the budget of 30% of your overall net worth. The next is focus on your corpus rather than getting biased with someone else's corpus. And the last is find people who can review, validate, and critically look at your Excel sheet formulas as well as your logic. If you do that, these 5 common, simple or fundamental things, it'll help you a lot, and it'll have a much more robust plan for future. So I hope you find this video useful, you find some new insights, and do please, as always, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. And like always, we will make sure that we respond to your comments, your thoughts, your suggestions, etc. Till the next video, till the next topic, and till the next location. Goodbye from me. Bye-bye.